Hey everyone, before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that the new Victoria's Cantina merchandise line has just launched via Teespring. Be sure to check it out. There is a link down below, and have a look at all the latest t-shirts I have put together and the various accessories that are available celebrating the Victoria's Cantina brand. Hello Jurassic fans, and welcome back to Cretaceous Cantina, where today we're having a look at the Mattel Jurassic World Battle Damage Spinosaurus. This is one that a lot of us have really been looking forward to. The Legacy of Spinosaurus was one of Mattel's most popular releases, and as you know, there was a lot of controversy behind it and how hard it was to get for us here in America. But that doesn't seem to be the case with this one. This one has been readily available online. Lots of people have been able to find it in stores. It's pretty great, and the toy seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. So before we go any further, I do need to say that this is a toy review by an adult toy collector and intended for other adult toy collectors. So in any case, look at the packaging here. It's really nice and wide, and you can see that the entire Spino is fully assembled, unlike the Legacy version, which had this tail that was not connected to the body. This one already has the tail connected, and it contrasts very nicely from that packaging. You can see how it's got that Dino Rivals packaging. This actually, you can really see it standing out. Here at the back, we get an image of the BD Spinosaurus, and it shows you that it has chomping action. You can activate double damage. You can flip it down. Some other items available in the Battle Damage lineup. Here is the bottom of the box in case you need any of that information right there. So I got mine at Walmart. They retail at $29.99, which I think, considering the size of this box and this dinosaur, is actually pretty great, especially with all the features that are incorporated into it. All right, I'm going to take a moment to get this guy unboxed. When we come back, we'll take a closer look at the Battle Damage Spinosaurus. All right, you guys, so here is the Spinosaurus out of the packaging, and I think it looks really good. Now, I did have some concerns with the original release that are still carried over to this one as well. The main thing is the sculpt. While it looks cool, while it looks fun, it's not exactly the way that we saw it in Jurassic Park 3. The head is a little bit, for lack of a better word, cartoony. And that's not really something new for the Mattel line. A lot of the sculpts end up looking a little bit cartoony, but it's not quite as film accurate as I think it could have been. Now, that's not to say it looks bad. It's still a big dinosaur. It's still a fun-looking dinosaur. It just looks a little bit friendlier than it did in JP3. I did quite appreciate the original one for what it brought to the line. It brought a little bit of newness. And, we don't really get really larger dinosaurs in this line. Sometimes we do, but most of them, as you guys know, are going to be your attack packs, your savage strikes, your little battle damages, the smaller things. So it's always fun when we get a bigger entry into this line, even if it isn't quite up to par. And for the most part, I think the bigger dinosaurs have been done really well. This one just does look a little bit cartoony for the most part. But again, just because it's cartoony or not exactly as film accurate as we might like as adult collectors, that doesn't mean that it isn't fun. And I think you'll find with the Battle Damage Spinosaurus that there's a lot of fun to be had. I also really like the coloration that we get this time around. When I first saw this at San Diego Comic-Con, I kind of felt like it looked good. It looked better than it had looked in those photos that had been leaking out. But it didn't look quite as unique or as much of a standout as I felt it could have looked at the time. But now that I actually have one here in my possession, my stance on the coloration is totally changed. I actually really, really like the colors. I think they're very unique for this line, and they're fun. All right, so let's take a close-up look at the head. Now, you guys know, as I noted a little while ago, that it does look a little bit cartoony. It's not quite as accurate to the film as it potentially could have been. I think part of that is because maybe Mattel didn't have access to digital sculpts like they have for some of the more recent dinosaurs from the films. I'm just speculating. I really don't know, but I feel like, it's nice, it's fun, it looks good, but he's a little friendly looking. He's a little cartoony. And like I said, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, as adult collectors, we're obviously always after, realism, movie authenticity, accuracy. And you're not going to get a whole lot of that with this Spino. So once you can get past that and accept that, that's how it looks, then I think you're going to open yourself up to it a little bit more and enjoy it a little bit more. Now, I do like these lime green eyes. They're really nice and bright. With the black slit. The teeth are this yellowy color. They look good. They look fun. The inside of the mouth, we pull that open. You can see in there it's this nice like pinkish color, like a mauve color. It actually, it looks to be the same exact color as that original Spino, so you're not going to get anything different here in terms of those colors. Now, the rest of it looks pretty good. It's a hefty dinosaur. When you pick it up, it does have some weight to it. It seems like the hips are pretty tight. It seems like the arms are pretty tight. I know some people with the original Spino had some issues with loose joints. On one of mine, the neck is kind of loose, so it just kind of like droops down. This one actually seems a little bit better, but I don't want to speak too soon. I barely got it out of the box, and sometimes you kind of got to wait for things to settle a little bit. But yeah, no, it's looking really good. The sculpting on this one is nice. I feel like the scales and you know all the patterns and all that are sculpted in look a little bit big. Like there's not really a whole lot of fine detailing on it. If you look at things like the Extreme Chomp and T-Rex, you'll find some really fine texturing on it, some very fine sculpting on it. But there's not a whole lot of that here. It's just like, you know, really like big scales, and even like things like the striations and such are really large. So, you know, like I said, it's something that's a little different from the film version. Another thing of note is that they reversed the legs, like on the Legacy Spino, and you'll see this when I do the comparison. It was the right leg that was forward and the left leg that was back. This time it's the opposite. I don't know why they decided to change it, but you know, it's better that it's a little bit mixed up. I prefer that they retool things than do them exactly the same. And in this case, they retooled it quite heavily, and you'll see that as we get through the review. The tail is nice and long, as you can see. It's got some pretty nice sculpting on it. It seems to be essentially just one color. There's kind of a second piece that's attached to this part of the tail there. And from all angles, it's a fun dinosaur. It's a large dinosaur. And it seems to fit in with this line pretty well if you're trying to fit it into the more exaggerated, artistic-looking dinosaurs that are in the line. Again, I really like the colors. This is basically like, I don't even know, what would you call this? This is kind of like a soft blue color. It's not like super light. It's not like super dark either. It's maybe more of a medium blue, but it's a really soft blue. And it's accented on top by this very, I don't know, I guess it's like a tan color, almost like a yellowy brown tan color. It's not quite mustard. It's pretty unique. I don't think we've had anything in this line that features, you know, the specific coloring up here. So I actually think it looks really good with the blue. It contrasts very nicely with it. You can see that there's some nice blending going on there on the neck, and I think that looks really good. And it carries through to the neck, through the top of the sail, and also onto the legs. So that is pretty good. I do wish that it carried through to the tail, but you know, this is something we've seen with a lot of these Mattel Jurassic dinosaurs where, you know, the tails just aren't painted. At the same time, the claws on the forelimbs are not painted, which is kind of a bummer as well. I wish they would have done that. The dew claws, once again, are not painted. So it's a little bit strange that they didn't, you know, fix those things. I don't think it cost them that much money to do that. But, you know, it is what it is. So let's get into articulation. It's essentially the same as it was the first time around. So you do have a joint here at the top of the jaw and also a joint at the bottom of the jaw. And we will get into the action features in just a bit. There's also a joint here at the front of the neck, so you can go side to side, you can go up, you can go down. We have another joint here at the back of the neck, so kind of gives you the same sort of movement. It's pretty nice. It doesn't really go up or down a whole lot, but you know, nice movement there. Here at the forelimbs, these are on hinges, so they do go out a little bit. You can go forward and back. The legs, same thing. You can go outward with them. You can move them forward. You can move them back. And same here at the ankles. They do slide forward and back as well. And then the tail, same thing. Up, down, side to side. Nice movement. It feels pretty tight on there. All right, so let's get into the action features, the battle damage features that this dinosaur has. So this is where this toy really shines for me. So same thing we had with the Legacy version. You press on this button here and it opens its mouth. The joint on this one seems a little tight. I know with the original Spino, some of them had this where you had to press it really hard. So yeah, you just got to press it really hard. Sometimes not so much, but sometimes you do. The tail just kind of like goes up and then down, or the tongue rather goes up and then down. So that's fun. But the really new feature here, the double battle damage aspect of it, is this. And I think this is super cool. So you basically have this pliable skin right here on the front right side. You're going to pull it down just like this. And you'll see that when it comes down, it reveals these bones, it reveals the innards. And there are two tabs right here. Those basically plug into those two holes. So you just drop it down. You can see that it's on a hinge right there. Now you have these bones. Okay, same exact thing. Grab onto them and let them go. And they come right down. They're also on a hinge. They also plug in right here into those sockets there on the side. And the tabs are on the side of the rib cage on both sides there. And now you get to the true innards, to the guts. And they're very juicy. You just kind of move it like this, and you can see the liquid in there just kind of moving around with it. So that is actually super, super cool. Now, if that weren't enough, there's a button right here in the back of the sail. You press that, and you can slosh those guts around. Now, I initially thought that this was like going to make a 360 degree like circle, but it doesn't do that. It just kind of goes back and forth, which is fine. I mean, I don't think they really needed to have that feature, but obviously they wanted to make it a little more fun, a little more interesting. Looks very bloody, looks very gory. I think it looks pretty cool. I mean, we've never had anything like this in this line. Obviously, the Albertosaurus had a really innovative sort of double battle damage feature, but this kind of takes it a step beyond and really goes for the theatrics. So to put it back, you're just going to pick up on the ribs right there and plug them in. And then the same thing with the skin, just kind of plug it in and just kind of push it till it seats properly. And it's actually concealed pretty well. Like, obviously, if you really look for it, you can see it. But it's not too noticeable. It actually looks really good. And if you don't want to see that at all on your shelf, well, just turn it around and it's gone. So yeah, that's pretty fun. I feel like that's actually pretty innovative. I'm glad that they didn't just take the legacy Spinosaurus and repaint it with blood on it like they've done sometimes, like they did with the Extreme Chomp and T-Rex. This time around, they actually went all out, really. And for the price point of $29.99, I think you're really getting your bang for your buck with this one. I think it's a really fun toy. All right, so here's a comparison of the Battle Damage Spinosaurus along with the Legacy Collection Extreme Chomp and Spinosaurus. Now, you can see here that they do look very similar in terms of sculpt. I do have an acrylic rod in the mouth of my Legacy Spinosaurus right here, so that's why its mouth is open. But yeah, the sculpt is very similar between the two. Obviously, as I noted, the legs are repositioned, so they're flipped in the way that they're oriented, and you do get the awesome battle damage feature with the battle damage Spinosaurus. As far as those colors go, I'm trying to decide which I like better. I think I'm going to lean towards the battle damage one. I know that the legacy one is a little bit more film accurate, but I don't think it's all that film accurate to begin with. If it were, I think it would be a little more reddish, orangey looking, and it's green. So it's actually very Christmassy if you think about it. Maybe that's Christmas Spinosaurus. Maybe this is New Year Spinosaurus. I don't know. What I do know is that I'm going to give the edge to the battle damage one in terms of those colors. I mean, yeah, this is fun for what it is. I liked it, even though, I still have my qualms with the film accuracy of it, but I like this better. I mean, for $5 more than this cost at MSRP, you're getting the double battle damage. And to me, that is worth the $5 for sure. It's a blast to play with it, actually. So that's super cool. And I like the colors better. So if you've been holding out, my opinion is that, this one is better over here. But again, if you're like me, obviously you're a collector, you're probably going to buy them both. The Spinosaurus scales up very nicely with humans. This seems to be quite film accurate, at least to my eye. And I'm using Alan Grant here because he's the only Mattel figure that we've had in terms of the human figures that was seen on screen with the Spinosaurus.
Alan.
And now that I look at it, they're kind of wearing the same colors, aren't they? Like, maybe this is Alan Grant as a dinosaur, or maybe not. Another thing I wanted to demonstrate here is that I know a lot of people have been saying that the colors look too much like the Suchomimus, and not really. If you look at the Action Attack Sucho here, I mean, yeah, you're kind of dealing with that bluish and, brown realm, I guess, but They don't look the same. I mean, if you had them on the shelf, they would definitely stand out. I mean, this one's like more blue and, tan, khaki. And that one is definitely more of like a teal and like a bright greenish yellow sort of thing. I think these colors are way prettier. That's more tropical. This feels more like, I don't know, I give up. If you're doing the Jurassic Facts app, there is the scannable code right there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Mattel Jurassic World Battle Damage Spinosaurus, available exclusively in the US at Walmart. Overall, you guys, I like this. I like what Mattel did with it. Even though it's not as film accurate as it could have been in terms of its sculpt, it's fun. And I think when you are collecting toys as an adult, you really appreciate the whole package. And when we consider how fun this is with the action features and the battle damage and everything, I think it's a winner. You also get that great price point of $29.99. I think that's a good deal for what you're getting. I think it's very fair. And you definitely get a little bit more for your money than you do with the Legacy Spinosaurus. So I like it. I like the colors. I'm enjoying having it and messing around with it. It's going to be fun to take photos of. And again, I think these colors are great. I prefer it overall compared to the Legacy Spinosaurus. Even though I still like that one, I think I like this better. Not just in terms of the colors. The whole package is great. It's fun. But I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. Let me know down below. What do you think of the Battle Damage Spinosaurus? Will you be adding it to your collection? Be sure to subscribe to the Collect Jurassic World podcast. As always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Cretaceous Cantina. Until next time, bye-bye.